The 30 Years' War wasn't just one conflict. It was a brutal 30-year saga of countless local tragedies. The devastation wasn't uniform across the Holy Roman Empire. Each region, each town, experienced its own unique nightmare and had to find its own path back from the brink. Today, we're going to explore some of these deeply personal stories of destruction and resilience to understand the true, human cost of this catastrophic war. Let's start with the Palatinate, a region that felt the war's fury from the very beginning. As a heartland of Calvinism and the home of Frederick the so-called Winter King, it was an immediate target. After the defeat at White Mountain, Spanish and Bavarian forces poured into the Palatinate. Cities like Heidelberg were sacked, its famous library looted, and its university shut down. The countryside was systematically plundered. For years, armies marched back and forth, stripping the land bare. The population plummeted, with some estimates suggesting a drop of over 50%. Recovery was a slow, agonizing process that took decades. It wasn't until long after the war that the region began to heal, largely thanks to new rulers who actively encouraged immigrants, particularly French Huguenots and Swiss Protestants, to come and resettle the abandoned farms and villages. The Palatinate's story is one of early devastation and a long, difficult recovery built on the backs of newcomers. Now let's turn to Bohemia, where the war itself began with the defenestration of Prague. The Bohemian revolt's failure at the Battle of White Mountain in 1620 had profound and lasting consequences that went far beyond military defeat. The Habsburg Emperor Ferdinand II enacted a ruthless policy of re-Catholicization. Protestant nobles and intellectuals were faced with a stark choice: convert or be exiled. A huge portion of the kingdom's elite, its landowners, scholars, and merchants, fled, their lands confiscated and given to loyal Catholic nobles, often from other parts of Europe. This wasn't just a religious shift, it was a complete social and cultural upheaval. An entire class was wiped out and replaced. This brain drain and loss of capital fundamentally reshaped Bohemian society for centuries, creating a new aristocracy with weaker ties to the local population and culture. The recovery of Bohemia was not about rebuilding farms, but about forging a new identity from the ashes of the old. Perhaps no single event better captures the sheer horror of the 30 Years' War than the sack of Magdeburg in 1631. Magdeburg was a prosperous, fiercely independent Protestant city. When it resisted the imperial army under Count Tilly, the result was one of the most infamous atrocities of the entire conflict. After a long siege, imperial forces stormed the city and went on a rampage. In a single day, the city was systematically looted and burned to the ground. Out of a population of around 25,000, it's estimated that 20,000 were killed, slaughtered in the streets, burned in their homes, or drowned trying to flee across the river Elbe. The destruction was so total that the phrase Magdeburg Justice became a synonym for total annihilation. For years, the city was little more than a pile of rubble and bones. Its recovery was almost miraculous, a testament to sheer human will. It took more than a century for Magdeburg to regain its pre-war population, a ghost that haunted the German psyche for generations. Let's move south to the Duchy of Württemberg. Unlike the singular, explosive horror of Magdeburg, Württemberg's story is one of slow, grinding collapse. The duchy tried to remain neutral, but was inevitably drawn in. After a catastrophic defeat for the Protestant side at the Battle of Nördlingen in 1634, Württemberg was left defenseless. Imperial troops occupied the land, and what followed was years of famine, disease, and brutal exploitation. The population was halved. Entire villages vanished from the map, their fields turning to wilderness. The recovery here was a matter of state policy. Duke Eberhard III, upon his return from exile, implemented deliberate repopulation measures. He offered incentives like tax breaks and free land to attract settlers from less affected areas like Switzerland and Austria. It was a calculated, top-down effort to literally bring the countryside back to life, person by person, farm by farm. Finally, let's look at regions like Alsace and Westphalia, where the story of recovery was intrinsically tied to the peace that ended the war. These were borderlands, constantly fought over and changing hands. Their fate wasn't just about rebuilding, but about adapting to a new political reality. Alsace, for example, was largely transferred from Habsburg to French sovereignty. Its recovery was therefore linked to its integration into the French kingdom. Westphalia, the very region where the peace treaties were signed, had been a battleground for various armies. Its recovery was shaped by the new balance of power established by the Peace of Westphalia itself, which confirmed the authority of local rulers and created a new framework for stability. For these regions, recovery and political realignment went hand in hand. From the ashes of Magdeburg to the repopulated fields of Württemberg and the political shifts in Alsace, these case studies show the varied, deeply personal nature of the 30 Years' War. It wasn't one story, but thousands. Yet through them all we see a powerful theme of resilience, the incredible ability of communities to endure unimaginable loss and begin the slow, painful work of rebuilding their world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you found this exploration of history meaningful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. We'll see you in the next video.